Okay, so for geometry today, we're moving on to section 1.4, and we're going to be talking about subsets of lines and planes. So basically, a subset is just kind of a part of a line and plane, and that's going to give us a lot more geometry definitions that we can use for things as we move forward. And the first one we're going to talk about is a half line. So a half line is a subset of a line consisting of all of the points on the given side of a point on the line. So if we have a line here, right, so let's say we have line A, B, C. So the notation for half line is like BC, and it's got an open circle arrow going to the right. It's always going to point to the right. So basically that means that it's this here. It doesn't include point B, but it's got all of the points over in that direction of C. So that part that I did in blue would be considered half line BC. So just like for a line, we always use two capital letters. And then the notation over the top is the open circle, and then you're going to draw your arrow always facing the right. The first letter for these needs to be your vertex, or like your starting point. So B is our open circle point. That means we start at B and we go in the direction of C, because C is our second letter. So if we wanted to draw half line A, B, right? So that would be from A in the direction of B, but it extends infinitely in that other direction, right? We could also call that half line. So we can call it AB or AC, but it has to start with A because A is our starting point. If we wanted to go the other direction, so let's say from CA, right? So half line CA would look like the one that I drew in red, right? Starts at C, goes in the direction of A. So your first letter is your vertex or your starting point. Your second letter tells you your direction. So the next one we're going to talk about is a ray. So a ray is the union of a half line and its origin. So really the only difference here is that the ray is going to be like that circle that we drew open before is now going to be filled in. So it's going to include that starting point. So this would be ray AB. And you're going to, again, go here. And just like with the half line, you start with your origin or your vertex point, and then the second letter tells you your direction. Right, so it's from A to B. Right, so even if B was over here and A was our starting point, that's another way we could draw ray AB. Right, that name is still going to apply. The only way it would switch is if we did ray BA. So that means we start at B and go towards A. So for these, it does matter what order you put your letters in. That's a really important part of this, because when I ask you to draw, say, ray AB, you have to know where to put your start and end points. Okay, so the next definition is between. So in geometry class, between has a very specific meaning. So let's say we have this line here, and it has points R, P, and S, right? So we could say that point P is between R and S. So it looks like, so that means P is between R and S. For something to be between, though, it has to be collinear. So they have to be on the same line, right? So if I were to draw another point here, Q would not be between, let's say, R and P, right? Because it's not on that line. So for something to be considered between in geometry class, we have to have it all on the same line. All right, so our next definition is a segment. So a segment consists of 2 points and all of the points that fall between them. So segments do not have arrows on the end. They have definite starting and ending points. The notation for a segment is the 2 capital letters, which is the bar over top and no arrows. Okay, so an angle is the union of 2 distinct or separate rays with a common endpoint. So that means it's two rays that come together with a common endpoint. So this would be our common endpoint. And then the two white lines are our two rays. So let's say, I'll add our other points. So we have A, B, C. All right, so the two rays are known as the sides. So the sides are the rays that make up the angle. And then we have the vertex of the angle, which is the common endpoint. So if you're looking at the picture of an angle and you're asked what the vertex is, it's going to be that point. Sides mean that it's asking for like ray BA and ray BC would be your sides. And then you also have the interior of the angle. So the interior of an angle is just going to be the area that's inside of it. And the exterior of the angle would be all the space outside of it. So that's your interior. And then this out here is your exterior. The name for an angle, we can do it three ways. So if it's only one angle in the picture, you can just name it with the vertex. So you can draw angle B. But typically, you're going to end up naming it with three letters. So vertex always has to go in the middle, but the other two letters can go on either side. So we have angle ABC. We could also call this angle CBA. But this middle point always has to be your vertex. The vertex always has to be in the middle. That way, when you draw the angle, you know what your vertex point is, which is why we always keep it in the same spot when we're naming our angle. Okay, so this wraps up all of the stuff we need for section 1.4. You all do have an assignment. Again, try your best. Please ask me questions. Several of you have so far, and I really appreciate it. I want to help you. I know it's a little awkward because we're not in person, so it's a little harder to ask questions. Even if you're not sure what you need to ask, just let me know that you're struggling and we can talk through it together and figure out what I can do to help you be successful. All right, I'm praying for you all, and let me know if you need me.